This is News 25 with Deanna O'Donnell and Stacy Jensen. News 25, local news you can count on. News is brought to you by J.K. Nelson Law. Give them a call, 727-9900. News is also brought to you by Desert View Hospital. You can count on us.
Welcome to News 25 here on KPVM TV and Ace Country Radio. I'm Deanna O'Donnell.
And I'm Stacy Jensen. It's Friday, October 14th.
Well, a local man was killed last night on the highway. News 25 spoke to Fire Chief Scott Lewis about the incident.
We were dispatched for a vehicle accident. It was described as a rollover type mechanism. It was undetermined if there were people still in the vehicle, but there was also stated to be an ejection. So our assignment was upgraded to a rescue, bringing a heavy rescue, an additional medic unit, and myself on the call. As Heavy Rescue 1 arrived on location, they found in fact that a vehicle had left the roadway. It had tumbled in probably several times in different fashions. There was significant damage sustained to this 1-ton pickup truck. So their primary focus was trying to locate any potential occupants. They located one that was separated by 50 feet from the vehicle. That became number one priority. Then they did a grid search because when they searched the interior of the pickup truck, there was no one else found. There was a dog kennel in the back seat with the door open and a compression of that cage. So they started looking for any potential pets as well. In doing the grid search, they did not find any other occupants. At one point, there was thought to be a small dog in the area, and the sheriff's office attempted to gather that dog, but it took off. We had attempted to fly the patient, or at least to assess the patient, but again, this was a trauma code, which means we needed to get to a hospital facility as soon as possible. Our crews commenced immediate care, transported that patient, where later he was declared deceased. NHP was summoned by the sheriff's office. They sent their response team out, and the fire department cleared, and the highway remained closed for a period of time during the investigation. No other occupants found.
What about the dog?
The dog is still loose as far as I know. I know Animal Control was still looking for the dog. I'm sure they canvassed the neighbors, but as of this moment, I'm uncertain if they found the dog yet.
All right, so that dog is described as a small, fluffy...
white colored dog is my understanding.
All right, so if anybody has any information about that dog's whereabouts, of course they can call Nye County Animal Control about that dog. We
were dispatched for a vehicle accident.
And News 25 has learned more about the victim of this crash, and we want to extend our hearts and prayers to the family in this situation. Of course, as in any situation of a fatal crash, we are definitely praying for them. And if you have any information about the whereabouts of their beloved dog, you, of course, can call the Nye County Sheriff's Office at 775-751-7000 and report if you have found that animal, and we'll keep you posted on that story as well.
And in another crash in the same area, last night's fatal rollover resulted in an injury significant enough to require flight. Chief Lewis explains.
Prompt Fire Rescue is dispatched for a report of a 2-vehicle accident. The initial report is actually the T-bone type collision was witnessed by the Animal Control Unit. So we knew there was going to be significant impact for them to make that type of call. As our crews arrived on location, they found the accidents described as significant debris field, significant damage sustained by both vehicles. They immediately commenced a scene size up and a risk assessment. There were no additional scene hazards other than that debris field that I described in a large spill area, but their primary focus went to then determining on the nature and how many injuries there were. And so there was at least one transported from the scene to our local hospital. We were attempting to fly the patients, but there was another significant accident that was simultaneously occurring outside of Beatty on 95, and that took those resources. And I know one patient that was transported to the local hospital.
And a juvenile overturned his HEV last night in front of Comstock Park after colliding with a vehicle just off the highway.
In the area of Comstock Park on 372, there was a report of a vehicle versus an off-road vehicle, and crews arrived on the location to find the accident as described. They commenced an an assessment, and they found that one of the juveniles was could have been injured in this accident. It was very lucky. The parents arrived and a parental AMA was secured, so no one was transported to the hospital.
Emperorum Valley Fire and Rescue crews quickly extinguished a fire this morning near the center of town. The dump truck driver dumped his load quickly after learning it was showing signs of fire.
So we were dispatched for a report of a trash truck fire. As we were responding, we were notified that the operator of the trash truck emptied a load into a vacant field. There were no immediate exposures. The driver did just an excellent job. He recognized that he had a problem. It was not a large fire at the time he dumped the load, but it could have been very quickly. It had a truck looked like it was probably near full, and it had a tremendous fuel load, and it already had a fire event, so it had its ignition source. But he did a great job. Emptied it out, kept the truck away, made sure nobody went up to the area. As we arrived on location, we were able to go out there in short fashion, isolate the ignition source, which appeared to be discarded batteries, like ion style maybe, used in some kind of equipment. We isolated that material, extinguished it, and the resulting burning material in probably less than 5 minutes. This was the area off of Buell near 372.
Well, a scary scene today as a loose animal attacked a child at a bus stop off Irene and Darcy Street.
Sure. So this morning we were dispatched to the area of Irene for an animal attack, that being a dog that was attacking students on a school bus. And there was also an initial report that adults may have also been injured by the same dog. As we arrived on location, we found a relatively stable scene, except for the fact that there was a large dog probably about 50 yards down the road, standing in the middle of the road. And as we arrived, the dog started coming in the direction of the action area, which was where the school bus stop was. Sheriff's office diverted around the school bus, went down, kept the dog at bay until animal control arrived. So it allowed us to then do a proper scene size up and also a patient assessment of several, including students that were on a bus heading towards school. The investigation revealed that we had one child who had sustained some bite wounds, scratch wounds, and some head trauma. And the parent arrived and that patient was transported to the local hospital. One other adult was treated but declined to be transported for a cardiac emergency. And that person was experiencing chest pain. And then there were two other bystanders that just did a phenomenal job jumping into action when the dog was underway with the attack on the child. An adult male grabbed the dog, pulled the dog from the child. A female school representative who was unrelated to the accident scene stopped, assisted the child, put the bleeding child into the back of her car, and then provided just comfort until our arrival. It's my understanding it occurred outside of the bus, but there was an immediate exposure of the kids on the bus. There was also confusion as to whether another adult and other children were also injured, and our assessment revealed that they were not.
And does anybody know who the dog belonged to?
No, not from our perspective. I know the Sheriff's Office and Animal Control were working on that, and I'm unsure of the outcome.
And we'll be back with more News 25 right after this break.
Watching News 25, the most recognized and farthest reaching local news in Nye County. News 25, local news you can count on.
And welcome back. The Emperorum Community Library Board meetings are getting more heated. Some think that the problems are political. The board, which is mainly conservative, has some audience members from the group called the Prickly Pears. One of the more outspoken was mistakenly identified as from that group. The Prickly Pears told News 25 that that is incorrect. Nevertheless, members of the public don't feel their voices are being heard, and they are making it known to the board. Recently, the Emperorum Community Library Board awarded a contract to a local conservative contractor to retrofit the building and grounds with new LED lighting. But some concerned citizens and library supporters question the way the contract was handled and the cost for the work being done. News 25 spoke with the board member and the contractor and a concerned library supporter after a library meeting on Monday. After the meeting, police were called to keep the situation under control.
All of this was inspected and passed by the county inspectors when the building was built, and there have been no handymen in here messing around.
Ma'am, I'm going to stop you one last time, okay? let me give you some FYI. Don't interrupt me. I'm talking to you. Just a moment. Ma'am, I have the authority to suspend your comments. Do you want me to use that?
You're
Just
fine.
give me a minute here. There were no county.
You talked for a half hour.
Your time is suspended. You are absolutely
You are the one that's
disruptive.
out of line.
Have a seat, Ms.
You're
Stevens.
prejudiced toward them and you're not protecting the library.
Have a seat, Ms. Stevens.
The meeting today was to approve a couple of simple change orders to the lighting retrofit project that the board approved a couple months ago. Every single light in this building has been retrofitted to LED. The total bid for the initial contract was $424,800.
We were cold contacted, I believe, back in March on a website submission on our website to look at a 20,000 square foot building in Emperorum to do a lighting retrofit project. And I didn't even know it was a library at first. And we met and I found out it was a library and we agreed to provide a quote, and it was an open public works project, and we bid the job to basically do an entire LED retrofit at every fixture in the library.
Most of the group of people that come to these library meetings have felt that $425,000 worth of work contracted to be done for lighting, retrofit lighting on this library is perhaps excessive, especially since only one bid was even entertained and was awarded. We felt that any trustees who really were acting in the library's best interests would have certainly asked for 2 or 3 or more. That was not done, so we questioned it. And because we've questioned it, we are generally looked at as the enemies instead of a partner in working to make our community better and our library better.
Everywhere where we worked and we saw a code violation, we noted it and advised the board, and that was one of the issues that came up today that was so dramatically fought by certain members of the community.
We're talking about some severe fire issues. There were ballasts here in the building that could potentially cause some problems. Those have all been isolated and removed. There were low voltage light bulbs being put in high voltage outlets, which is a severe fire hazard. That all has been retrofitted to LED fixtures. So not only is everything safe now, but the lighting is much better and the energy savings will be significant.
It had been brought up by several speakers in previous meetings regarding the retrofit project, that why in the world are we doing an aesthetic project before we've even had contractors come out and look and see what could possibly be right or wrong with the library's lighting system. This seems to us to be a gross oversight.
I bid a job. It was an open public bid, competitive bidding. I bid the job per the rules. I was the only bidder. We won the bid, and ever since we won the bid, it's been nothing but constant fighting and throwing us under the bus for no reason. We're trying to do a job. We want to bid fair and square. We're trying to do a good job for the Pahrump Community Library and want the public to be happy, and all we're getting is flack from this one group that hate it. Absolutely 100% political.
Do you think it's politics?
I definitely think it's politics on the part of the trustees.
You know, and it's funny that those accusations are made because they're without any basis whatsoever. The reality is that when our vice chair made contact through the internet, through an internet request, Industrial Light and Power had no idea who they were coming to look at for a job. They didn't know it was the library, and none of the parties involved had any relationship prior to this project at all.
Well, RSV cases appear to be on the rise, and for those unfamiliar, RSV is common for a respiratory virus that often spreads around this time of year.
It's a virus that causes typically cold-like symptoms in children and adults, but in younger children can cause much more significant congestion and cough, high fevers, sometimes breathing and feeding difficulties, and irritabilities.
Dr. Kimberly Giuliano is a pediatrician for Cleveland Clinic Children's. She says the good news is most children who get sick with RSV will be able to recover at home with supportive care. For example, taking a pain reliever for a fever or using a vaporizer for congestion. However, if the child's symptoms are not improving or getting worse, parents should not hesitate to contact their physician. Dr. Giuliano says RSV can be pretty contagious and spread through the air and high-touch surfaces. So make sure to regularly wash your hands and sanitize things like car keys, doorknobs, and cell phones. You can also limit your social activities.
If there are large indoor gatherings that aren't necessary, or a child could potentially be around somebody with cough and cold symptoms, it might be best to rethink those plans and keep the younger children home.
And Dr. Giuliano says RSV testing is available and can confirm if a child has it. Around this time of year, pediatricians also usually test for the flu and COVID to help rule out those viruses too. And we'll be back with more from when we hear from our sponsor.
This Medical Minute is brought to you by Spring Mountain Medical, healthcare the way you've always imagined it.
Hi, I'm Ted with Spring Mountain Medical, your hometown health and wellness provider. Today I want to talk about taking the next step in achieving improved health. Do you feel stuck with your weight, physical fitness, or general energy levels and activity? Do you feel discouraged by the pace of your physical improvement? If so, don't despair. Our bodies all go through stages and levels of highs and lows and stagnation periods because of what we eat, stress, injury, or limitations to mobility due to illness and more. These cycles are normal and shouldn't be a reason to lose hope for our goals. Sometimes all it takes is starting a plan of action that resets our bodies and minds and puts us on a new track. Our providers can provide advanced diagnostic testing and examinations that will restore your activity plan that will get you on the right track. Make an appointment with us today to help you feel your best. I'm Ted, and this has been your Medical Minute brought to you by Spring Mountain Medical.
You're watching News 25, brought to you by Mountain West Lawyer, Injury Attorneys, 727-9500. Also brought to you by Silver State Health. Visit silverstatehealth.org or call 702-471-0420 for an appointment. News 25, local news you can count on.
Welcome back. Well, Pat Lemming from Never Forgotten Animal Society introduces us to a beautiful cat named Emily, available for adoption.
Hi, this is Pat with Never Forgotten Animal Society, and I'm here with Emily. She is a 2-year-old tortie who is a very, very sweet, loving little girl. She loves to play, she loves to be held, she wants to be involved in everything, and she will be your BFF. She is available here at Never Forgotten Animal Society at 520 East Street. Suite C is in Charlie. We're right behind Wells Fargo Bank on the corner of Wilson and East Street. We have a banner on our window that says we have kittens. You're welcome to come in anytime, no appointment necessary. Come on in and meet all of our guys. We have quite an array of animals available for adoption. Our cat adoption fees are $95. It includes their spay, neuter, microchip, vaccinations, and rabies certificate. And she is ready to go home right now. So if you're interested in a tortie that is just the sweetest girl, come on in and see us. We are located at 520 East Street in Emperorum, right behind Wells Fargo Bank. Our phone number is 775-537-8674. No appointment necessary. Just come on in and give our kids lots of love and attention. That's what they're looking for. So come on in anytime.
News 25 Weather Cam is brought to you by Lerner and Rowe Injury Attorney's Office in Pahrump. In a wreck, need a check? Call 702-877-1500.
I'm excited for the weekend.
I am very excited for the weekend. We have some nice weather coming up. It's going to be a little cooler.
John's going to tell us about that in a moment.
News 25 weather is brought to you by Dairy Council of Nevada. The splash of cream in your coffee, the dollop of sour cream on your burrito, the melted toasty cheese on your pizza. Undeniably delicious, undeniably dairy. Enjoy what's real.
Hi, good evening, Nevada. It's John Kohler from the KPVM Channel 25 Weather Studios. Hooray, we made it to Friday. What a beautiful weather map we have for you. 3 days in a running. Look at this. Weather triplets up north, Fernley, Fallon, Carson City, 81 degrees. How about that? That doesn't happen often. Triplets, 3 days in a row. Tonopah, 76 degrees. Predictably the cool spot. Goldfield chasing at 77. Beatty right in the mix at 89 degrees. About perfect weather out in Beatty, I would say so. Amargosa 91 degrees. That is the hot spot today. Las Vegas close behind at 89, and out in Death Valley a sweaty little 104 degrees. Here in the Paradise of Pahrump, let's take a look. 88 degrees. Yes, that's our current temperature. It was 90 degrees a little bit earlier, so we placed second in the state for heat today. Way to go, Pahrump. Winds out of the south-southwest to just 5 miles per hour. Didn't do nobody no harm. Humidity bone dry at 9%. As the sun rose this morning at 6:50 a.m. Setting this evening, look forward at about 6:09. We'll head for a low tonight of 60 degrees under clear skies, beautiful star watching, and whatever else you can see up there in the skies. We head on into the week. What do we see? Well, a day of clouds, but tempered with another couple days of sunshine. Temperatures in the mid 80s. I mean, like comfortably. Some days it's a couple degrees above 85, a couple degrees below 85. It's, it's kind of the mixed bag this week. We get lots of sunshine first part of the week. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday looks like it's clouding up, and that could mean some rain. We'll see as the weather systems develop and let you know if anything dire is on the way. It's homecoming night tonight at Pahrump Valley High School. Go Trojans. Good luck in the game. And back to the desk. Here's Deanna.
All right. Well, that's going to wrap up this edition of News 25. Hope everybody has a wonderful weekend. I know there's a couple of events, including that art auction at the Pahrump Nugget that's happening for Living Free this weekend. That's going to be lots of fun, and I hope everybody has a good time and goes down there, because that's going to be a lot of fun to enjoy. And we'll see you back here on Monday. If you want to find out more about the Halloween event, of course, we're going to post that on our KPVM Facebook page, and we're asking for more people to join us for that. Of course, that's on Halloween night, 5 to 8 p.m.
Yep, and I got to do a shout out to my friends. I spent all week, that's where I was, at G2E, the big gaming expo, and shout out to NRT Technologies and all the folks there. We had a great time, and thanks for hanging with us.
Exactly. Hey, NRT.
Well, that does it for us tonight. I'm Stacy Jensen.
I'm Deanna O'Donnell. Good night.
Good night.